Betrayal, Salon Sabotage, and Sweet Revenge. He thought my success was our money. I never thought I'd be sharing this train wreck of a story. But here I am, ready to spill the tea. It all started back when I was a fresh-faced hairdresser, barely out of school and already snipping away at the small salon downtown. Those were simpler times. Just me, my scissors, and the naive belief that my whole world was bright. It was a regular Tuesday when James first walked in, the bell above the door jangling as he cautiously looked around, like he wasn't sure if he'd stumbled into the right place. He was sporting a wave of thick curls that looked like they'd fought combs and scissors equally. "Hey, you open for a walk-in?" he asked, sounding a bit unsure. "Sure thing. Take a seat," I said, pointing to my chair. He sat down, and I threw the cape over him, snapping it at the back a bit tighter than necessary. "What are we doing today?" I asked. "Just make it look like I ain't been dragged through a hedge backwards," he said, half smiling in the mirror. Picking up my scissors, I quipped, "I reckon I can do that." As I worked, we started talking. Turns out we both had a thing for old school rock bands and hated modern pop. "Can't stand that electronic stuff they play everywhere now," he complained. "Tell me about it. Give me some Zeppelin or Floyd any day," one replied. Just like that. It was like we'd known each other for years. We talked and talked, and by the time I was done, he came back every other week for a trim. We started grabbing coffee after my shifts, and a year later, we were married. Just us and our families in the backyard of his folks' place. Our honeymoon was 3 days in a lakeside cabin that smelled like mildew and old fish. But we didn't care. We were on top of the world. Soon after, our little bundle of joy arrived. Having him was tough at first, with money being tight and me trying to juggle motherhood with work. But we made it through those night feeds and diaper changes without a single complaint. Life was good. We had our ups and downs. Sure. But who doesn't? I loved my job, meeting all sorts of folks from around town. Everyone had a story, and they all seemed to want to share theirs with me. I guess I just have one of those faces. Now, I'm 52 and not just any hairdresser. James climbed his way to the top, and now he's the big boss at his company. We've got ourselves a beautiful house that's a bit too quiet now that it's just the two of us. Our son, Michael, 29 and all grown up, lives in his own place across town. Life at the salon was always interesting. One day, Clara walked in, drenched from head to toe, looking like she needed more than just a hairdryer. She had a sad sort of look in her eyes that caught me right away. I could tell she needed a chat as much as a new hairstyle, not even caring as the water dripped from her coat onto the floor and revealing a mess of tangled, wet hair. "Just split with my boyfriend," she said. "Feels like my heart's been through the ringer," I said, draping a towel around her shoulders. "Let's get you dried off and fixed up. How about we try something new today? Give you a fresh start." "I'd like that," she said softly. As I worked on her hair, we talked about all sorts. Turns out she was new in town, trying to start over after everything that had gone south with her ex. I found myself giving her bits of advice, not just about hair but about finding her feet in a new place. By the time I was done, handing her the mirror so she could see the back, she said, "You know, I feel lighter already." "Thanks." "Seriously. Anytime." "Clara," I said, "you know where to find me." Just then, Michael walked in. He'd been doing some errands around town and decided to drop by. His eyes landed on Clara, and it was like watching me and James all those years ago. "Mom," he said, a little too enthusiastically. "Hey, who's this?" Trying not to make it obvious he was checking Clara out. "This is Clara. Meet my son, Michael. He's usually not around during the day. Thinks he's too busy for his old mom," I teased. "Nice to meet you, Clara," Michael said, flashing a charming smile. Nice to meet you too, Michael, Clara replied, her smile bright and genuine now. Your mom's been telling me all about the town. Sounds like you both know it inside out. Yeah. Well, I could show you some places if you like, Michael offered. And I almost rolled my eyes at how smooth he was being. That'd be great, Clara said, watching them walk out together. I was happy for him, seeing him light up around Clara. But a part of me worried too. Starting new relationships on the rebound can be tricky. And I hoped she wouldn't end up getting hurt. Michael and Clara quickly became like a daughter to me. It was a whirlwind. Sure. But seeing them so happy made everything feel right. We often had them over at our place. I loved those dinners. Clara would always joke about her taste in men, teasing Michael by saying she liked them slender and athletic, prompting him to suck in his gut and flex like a bodybuilder. It was all in good fun. Clara would help clean up without missing a beat, saying she couldn't just sit and watch me do all the work. It warmed my heart to have such a caring daughter-in-law. James and we were doing all right ourselves, always on the move. But things started to change. Suddenly. At first, he began working late more often, and his business trips multiplied. I'd ask him about all the extra hours and travel, and he just shrugged it off, saying it's a busy season. Gotta make hay while the sun shines. I couldn't argue with that. But it was his newfound love for the gym that really threw me for a loop. One morning, I found him digging out workout clothes from the back of our closet. What's all this about? I asked, watching as he packed a gym bag. Got to keep up with the young guys at work. Can't let them think I'm getting old, he said, leaning against the doorframe and flashing me a grin. James, who usually avoided physical exertion like it was the plague, suddenly turning into a gym buff was too bizarre. But I had to admit, it seemed like a good thing. Life seemed almost perfect. Our home was filled with love and laughter. Our careers were thriving. And with Michael and Clara so happy, grandkids didn't seem like a far-off dream anymore. But every so often, after a sudden business trip or when he came home late from the gym, a small voice in the back of my head whispered doubts. I pushed them away, telling myself it was all normal, just part of life's routine adjustments. Yeah, I couldn't shake the feeling entirely. Everything okay at work? I'd ask, and James would answer. But his eyes didn't quite meet mine like they used to. I started watching the clock, noting when he left and when he got back. The intervals were stretching longer, the explanations shorter. Just ran into some traffic, or had to help a colleague out became common refrains. One night, lying in bed waiting for him to come home, I realized that no matter how perfect things seemed, I just hoped it was my imagination running wild. A silly phase that would pass. But the possibility that something serious was amiss was something I wasn't ready to face. Not yet. It was a regular Thursday at the salon when Marie, a client I've known for years, came in bubbling with excitement about her recent vacation. As she settled into the chair, she started showing me videos they'd taken. We caught so much of the trip. Look at this one, she said, scrolling through her phone. As she held up the screen, a video of a bustling restaurant narrated their dining experience. My heart sank. My breath caught in my throat. There, tangled up in each other, completely lost in the moment, were James and Clara. Can you send that to me? I managed to choke out, my voice barely above a whisper. Marie, puzzled by my sudden interest, just nodded slowly and forwarded the video to me. Sure. But are you all right? You look pale. Shaking my head slightly, I just muttered, thanks. The rest of the day passed in a blur. My hands moved mechanically, cutting and styling. But my mind was stuck on that video. The image of James and Clara together haunted every moment. I didn't dare call James. Instead, I waited until I was home. My nerves stretched tight, and called Michael. Michael, I need you to come over. It's important, I said as soon as he picked up, trying to keep my voice steady. When he arrived, his face was etched with concern. Mom, what's going on? Are you okay? I didn't meet his eyes as I handed him my phone with the video queued up. Just watch. The color drained from Michael's face as he watched. The shock. The realization hit him all at once. Dad and Clara. His voice was a mix of disbelief and pain. He looked from the phone to me, searching for an answer. Before I could reply, the front door swung open. The sight of James strolling in, so carefree, twisted the knife deeper into my chest. James, still smiling, started. Guess who I ran into today and gave a ride? His words hung in the air as he finally noticed the atmosphere. The video still playing. The sound of their laughter grotesquely out of place now. Clara's smile dropped the second that video ended. The air in the room turned icy. James turned pale. Clara didn't even try to hide her glee. I love him, she declared, pointing unabashedly at James. He doesn't want you anymore. Her words stung like acid. I felt a deep, hollow ache in my chest. How had I been so blind? Michael's reaction was volcanic. His face flushed with anger as he stood up, towering over his father. I'm done with you, Dad. And you, he said to Clara. Get out of my house. Clara retorted. And where am I supposed to go? I'm entitled to half of this apartment in alimony. You owe me that much. Michael scoffed, the sound bitter and full of scorn. The apartment was mine before we even met. It's in my name only. And alimony. You get nothing. James stepped in. We need to talk about our assets. We've got 30 years of marriage here. I want half of everything. His audacity was breathtaking. My entire world was crumbling. And he was worried about money. The nerve of him to stand there and demand a share of our life together, as if he hadn't just betrayed everything we built. The divorce was nasty. He strutted into court, playing the wrong party, trying to smear my name and grab as much as he could from the ruins of our marriage. It was excruciating to watch the man I had loved twist our memories into lies just to gain an upper hand. And Clara, oh Clara, had the gall to taunt me outside the courtroom on the last day. You're just an old woman. James wanted someone young and beautiful like me, she sneered, aiming to wound. It felt like the ultimate betrayal, not just of the heart. I drove home those days feeling like the shell of the woman I used to be, questioning my worth, questioning every year we spent together. But through the storm, Michael was my rock. He stood by me, his presence a constant reminder that not everything from my marriage was a loss. Seeing the strength and integrity in my son, I realized that if my marriage had given me nothing else, it gave me him, a man who knew right from wrong, who stood up for what was right, even when it was hard. One morning, I stood in front of the mirror and made a vow to myself. Ella, I said to my reflection, it's time to rebuild from the ground up. The reflection staring back at me nodded, as if sealing the pact. One of the hardest decisions I had to make was about the house. It was too full of memories, too big for just me. Plus, the settlement required that we sell it and split the proceeds. Fresh start, the agent said when I went into his office. Trust me, you're making the right move, the agent assured me. Something smaller, more manageable. It'll be good for you. I bought a cozy 2-bedroom apartment closer to the city center. The day I moved in, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. As I unpacked boxes and arranged furniture, I felt a flicker of hope. My career had always been a part of who I was, and I wasn't about to give that up. With the divorce settlement, I had some capital and a fiery drive to not just continue, but to expand. I decided to open my own beauty salon. Finding the right location took time, and I walked through countless potential spots, each time envisioning what could be. When I finally found the perfect place, a small but bright space on a busy street, I knew it was the one. I can see it now. I told Michael, excitement building within me. You're going to make it into something amazing. He replied, ever supportive. The process of opening the salon was grueling, but with each renovation, each hurdle overcome, I felt a surge of accomplishment. The grand opening was a flurry of excitement. Longtime clients and even curious passers-by filled the space. It was the first time since the divorce that I barely recognized the woman I was when this all started. My business is flourishing, becoming more than I had dared to hope. The community support has been overwhelming. It feels amazing to create a space that's welcoming and warm. Michael got married again 2 years after the divorce. He met Lisa at a community event, and they hit it off right away. They've since had twins, a boy and a girl. Seeing him so happy, so fulfilled, has given me a new kind of joy I didn't know I was missing. As I lock up the salon at night, the last of the sunset casting a warm glow through the front windows, I often pause and reflect. This journey, every up and down, every setback and every victory, has reshaped me. I'm not the same person I was, and I'm grateful for it. In those moments, surrounded by the hum of dryers and the smell of shampoo, I realized I had found my way out of the darkness, stronger, fiercer, and more determined than ever before. One day out of the blue, I received a call from James, my ex-husband. His voice was casual, as if we were old friends catching up, but his words were like a slap in the face. Ella, I think it's only fair I get half of your salon since I was the main breadwinner for so long. The nerve of him, to claim a piece of what I had built from scratch with my own money. Post-divorce. But I kept my cool. Okay, James, let's meet and talk about it, I said, plotting to turn the tables on him. After hanging up, I called Michael. He was furious when he heard and suggested we dig a little deeper into James's life now. Mom, let's see what he's really up to, he said, proposing to hire a private investigator. I agreed. There had to be something he left out. We chose to meet in a crowded cafe downtown. I arrived early and spotted them from a distance. James looking older but trying hard to appear youthful, beside his much younger wife, Clara, who was visibly pregnant. It was all a charade. James wasted no time. Ella, thanks for coming. Clara wants to start her own salon, and we think a share of your business would be a good start for our family's future. Clara looked at me expectantly. I forced a smile, listening to James ramble about the bright future he envisioned for his new family, all the while thinking how I would destroy it. Finally, when he paused for breath, I saw my moment. James, you're living in a fantasy, and none of it is happening without your money or influence. And as for this child you're so excited about, my smile fading as I pulled out a series of photos and slid them across the table to him. Congratulations. But I feel like I have to be honest with you. This child might not actually be yours. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. James and Clara leaned in to look at the photos. Photos of Clara's affair with her personal trainer. Not just in casual settings, but leaving a hotel together. And there's more. James, remember when you had chickenpox so bad at 38? The doctor said it left you infertile. I didn't have the heart to tell you before, thinking it would crush you. Claire's eyes widened in horror as she turned to him, her hands trembling. Clara, she uttered, her voice breaking. James just sat there stunned as reality crashed down around him. Is this true? Are you cheating on me? Clara demanded. James was already on his feet. I don't want to hear it. We're done. Get out of my life, he screamed. I stood up, smoothing down my skirt. I think this meeting is over, I announced, my voice loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear. I want nothing more to do with either of you. As I walked away, the last thing I saw was Clara weeping and James yelling, the staff rushing over to intervene. It was poetic justice. I stepped out into the sunlight, a wave of relief washing over me. A few days later, I was at the salon, tidying up after a busy day. The bell above the door jingled, and I looked up to see Michael walking in, his face bright with a smile. "Hey, Mom, how's the champion of independence doing today?" I asked, handing him a broom to help me clean up. "I'm doing great, Mom, but I won't lie. Feels good. Really good." He laughed. "That's what I like to hear," Michael replied, starting to sweep. I paused, leaning on my broom. "Well, I've been thinking about that a lot. I want to do more than just run the salon. I want to give back somehow. You've got a lot to offer, Mom. Maybe some kind of mentorship program. You know, for young women starting out," he suggested. "That's exactly what I was thinking," I said, excitement bubbling up inside. "I want to help them build their own empires. Make sure they have the support they need." The following weeks flew by as I put our ideas into action. I reached out to local community centers and schools, setting up workshops and talks. So many young women came. One evening, after a particularly successful workshop, I sat in my salon, reflecting on everything that had happened. The phone rang, and I answered, still in a reflective mood. "This is Ella." "Mom, it's me. Just wanted to check in. How was the workshop today?" Michael asked. "It was fantastic. Michael, these girls, they're so bright and full of potential. It makes me feel like I'm really doing something worthwhile," I said, a smile spreading across my face. "That's awesome, Mom. I knew you'd be great at this," Michael replied. We chatted a bit more, and after hanging up, I felt a profound sense of peace. I had come so far from the woman who thought her life was over after a divorce. Now, here I was, making a real impact, feeling more fulfilled than I ever had. So, Reddit, after hearing my whole saga, did I handle things the right way? Was I justified in exposing James and Clara's deceit? I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and I would love to know your opinions on whether my actions were warranted given the circumstances and if you think I could have handled anything differently in seeking my revenge, or if I was right to protect what I built. I am open to all feedback to help me process everything that has happened.